Yeah, Hunter, thank you. So Christy Irvin, as Hunter mentioned, I'm one of our leaders in our global talent acquisition group. We're honored to be here today. I wanted to start by thanking Power to Fly for the opportunity. And I'm also honored to share the stage with friends and coworkers, Betsy and Lynn. So ladies, thank you for being here today. And I really want to start by giving folks a chance to learn a little bit more about your story. So Lynn, let's start with you. You're the leader of our women's strategy at the bank. What does that mean? And how do you support women at Bank of America?
No, great question. I just feel definitely honored to be here and talking to the women today. When you think about it, global women's talent strategy, it is a global role. We support all the regions across and around the world, across the US and around the world. And it really is focused on women at the bank. It's understanding and meeting women where they are and helping them to believe and succeed in knowing that Bank of America is a place that they can thrive and actually grow their career. So it's, on any given day, it could be talking to women, engaging women, making sure that they understand, again, some of the nuances, the tools and resources that they have, again, to be able to realize their career, ensuring that the bank is one of the best places to work. But it's funny when you asked about the story. So I've been at the bank now for about 19 years, came in from consulting. I'm a CPA with the state of New Jersey from a background perspective, but now I'm in HR and I'm in diversity and inclusion. And so when you think about the role, there are opportunities no matter where you start in the bank to understand, to, really put your arms around things that you are areas that you'd like to learn and to be able to grow at the bank. A couple of the programs that I support, as was mentioned earlier, we've got a Women Ready to Lead program, and that's where we have women who have been with the bank for 2.5 years to 45 years, that they are part of a program to, again, understand the tools and resources, learn how to grow. And my question to them is always, what do you want to learn now? Let's really understand, how do we meet you where you are and make sure that you're continuing to grow as this organization continues to grow and change throughout the years. We are starting a series now. It's called Amplify You. Again, it's meeting women where they are. We're bringing in some keynote speakers, as well as having the women meet our senior women who lead different businesses. This is the first year that we've had an unprecedented number of women who lead major lines of business. And so we want to, again, make sure that the talent, women, are getting close and get proximate to the leadership. When we think about a couple of opportunities that we have this year, I call this the test and learn year. Let's try something new. And so we're connecting the women who've been in this program to our internal mobility team, which is actually internal coaches at the bank to help women, if they don't know what they want to do, kind of get grounded and set up that career development plan. If they do know what they want to do, what areas are you interested in? And let's try to connect you with some hiring managers who then would have the opportunity to get to know individuals, where they are. I've had the opportunity and really feel very blessed to be in this role as the Global Women's Talent Strategy Manager. And I'll tell you, it didn't happen overnight. I've been in HR now for almost 10 years, and it took about 8 years for this role to open, for me to be in a position to post for it, to get the opportunity, and now for the last 1.5 years to be in this role. And so just feel very thankful and blessed, and know that the bank has many opportunities to allow individuals to grow. So I hope that helps, Christy.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you. Lynn, on behalf of the women of Bank of America, thank you for all the great work that you've put into place. And I love your story. I love the internal mobility story, right? Because you can literally come in any door of the bank and go into any function in the bank and have a long, storied, varied career underneath one umbrella. I think that's one of the things that makes us so special. So Betsy, let's shift over to you. So you're in the enterprise credit function for Bank of America. I'd love for you to share a little bit more about enterprise credit and what they do, but you're looking after reporting and analytics. My goodness, that sounds like a big job. Tell us about what you do and the impact that you have on the bank.
You're on mute.
Yeah, I think you might be on mute, Betsy.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we got you. Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for having me. Yeah, sure. So Enterprise Credit is responsible for delivering end-to-end credit solutions for Bank of America's 8 lines of business. So that's everything from retail banking, which includes our mortgages, to loans to small businesses in our communities, to complex credit solutions for the largest international corporations. It's a little bit unique to Bank of America compared to some of our other peers to have credit underneath one organization, but it allows us to focus on delivering credit solutions efficiently and effectively. And as you mentioned, what my team does within Enterprise Credit is helps enable our credit teams with technology and data to do their jobs. So really making sure that our underwriters have the tools to easily originate, monitor, and fulfill our loan processes, and to have accurate data to drive our business strategy, make sure we're investing in the right places, and manage risk and meet external regulatory requirements.
Yeah, that's amazing, Betsy. So thank you for sharing. In your careers, you both have had some experience with diversity and inclusion initiatives for Bank of America. We talked about that in the prep call. So I'd love for you to, help me understand how, Lynn, let's start with you. How does the bank think about the importance of DEI? And then why is it important to you? And Betsy, same question to you.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. What I continue to hear in different forums and different companies that I join to help with thought leadership is diversity without inclusion is an activity. And so you have to be very intentional with making sure that you've got processes, systems set up where you help leaders and teammates get closer to each other. It's about connection. It's about, I call it re-recruiting our teammates, because we want to make sure that we continue to hold on to the great teammates that we have and ensure that they're learning. When we think about it, diversity and inclusion and equity and inclusion is really about ensuring that everyone feels comfortable bringing their authentic selves into the office, feels comfortable having a seat at the table and being heard, feels seen through the work that they do, and is comfortable, if they want a new role, is able to go ahead and post and realize their career journey here at the bank. As we think completely about the opportunities, and again, it's an evolution. I think we could look back 10, 20, 30 years and we would see a different face within the four walls of any financial services institution. But as the times continue to change and as the needs of our clients and communities continues to change, we know that we need to represent and reflect the clients and communities that we support. And so understanding representation matters, understanding that leaders and teammates need to create that environment where they feel safe, psychological safety, that they feel coming in the door, that they know the good intention that their teammate has in helping them fulfill whatever career opportunities they have, but really thinking about how we continue to support that as we move forward.
Yeah.
So I think about, and when I think about HR, I kind of told you, coming into human resources from the business, went into learning initially, then moved into leadership development. And the funny thing about it is the section in the line of business that Betsy is in, I used to support that from a leadership development perspective. And now for the last year and a half, I've been part of the diversity and inclusion team.
Yeah. And Betsy, you've got a wonderful seat in the business. You can tell us, how's this working in the real world, right? What do you see happening there in Enterprise Credit? And what's been the impact on you over the course of your career of our DEI initiatives?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as Lynn touched on, I don't think it's a secret that financial services has had a history of being a very male-dominated industry. Personally, when I started with the company over 15 years ago, it wasn't something that I was hyper conscious of, right? My analyst class was fairly diverse and I felt supported coming into the bank. Even though when I started in finance, most of my business partners were men. My work was rewarded, I was promoted, but about 10 years into my career in finance, I started thinking about what was next for me. And without consciously thinking about it, I started to immediately look outside of finance. When I did that, I started to realize part of the reason for that was because I didn't see anyone like me in a senior leadership position in my organization. As a mom of two baby girls, and I didn't want to feel like I had to give up my level of involvement in my family to continue to be challenged and do interesting and valuable work. When I looked at other areas of the company, I actually was really surprised to see that there was incredible people who were very engaged with their families or other outside interests and commitments, and they still had big and important jobs for our customers and our communities. And there's still room for me to be myself and to be successful. So really what I experienced at that time, it was a while ago, but we were on track on the recruiting and bringing in talent phase, but not as good with promoting and retaining talent. And that had an impact on me, and it had an impact on that organization. I moved to a pricing strategy role, which was still a super intense role. We were rolling out a pricing tool, fintech, across thousands of bankers and credit teams. And my knowledge of capital and liquidity was super valuable. It was also a blast. It was super fun. I worked on a really diverse team, and the product rollout was a success. And I really realized, firsthand how strong diverse teams are. And I was sold. And I'm also happy to say that when I look at my prior organization now, there's been a ton of change, because I think they realized that they were losing talent given that lack of representation. So they made changes because they knew that they had to have the best people to do the job. So it makes me definitely more conscious and mindful of creating an inclusive environment so that, selfishly, so I can just get the best talent. That's really the goal.
Yeah. What I love about Betsy's story when she shared it is, nothing happens overnight. And this is not new for Bank of America. We've been working on DEI initiatives I've been here 20 years. We've been working on those for 20 years. I know both of you have been here, for a while as well. And it's great to see how the investment pays off, right? If it's made year over year, and if our senior leadership continues to make it a top priority. So it's a good segue to our next question, Betsy and Lynn. How do you think we're doing? If we're going to grade ourselves on DEI, how do you think we're doing today? And then what are the areas where we still have some opportunity to make a difference?
Right. So I think I'll start. It's interesting. I've always said, and even being in leadership development, that the voice of a third party really gives credence to where you want to, score yourself. And so Bank of America was just named number one by Just Capital. CNBC released it a couple of weeks ago. And when you think about it, it talks about the bank specifically around, paying all employees a fair wage, a living wage, talk about the sustainable financing for products, eliminating barriers for hiring, prioritizing board diversity and independence. Different ways when you think about it specifically for teammates, being able to grow your career here, develop at the bank. They have internal coaches. I wish when I started 19 years ago, I had an internal coach that I could talk to and understand a little bit about more at the bank and ways to navigate. But when you think about that, those are just a few of the examples of thinking, how are we doing? I say we should be proud and never satisfied. We still have a ways to go, but we're realistic and not necessarily, impatient, but we need to continue our forward progress. So I definitely give us above a C, B plus. I'd say, as I think about it, we've got a lot to be thankful for and to really be proud about. But then there's some areas that we're still working on. And so I wouldn't necessarily give us an A plus just yet, but I'd say B plus, probably about there, Kristen.
Yeah. Betsy, anything? Well said, Lynn. Thank you for that. Betsy, is there anything that you want to add?
I think I would just add, a lot of times when I see the top of house stats, they're really impressive, but they're really big. And when I think about how we apply that within our business, D&I is not, in my mind, just something over here that sits in a silo, right? It's embedded into everything that we do. When we have open roles, we're making sure that we're marketing them through our employee networks and on job sites. And again, just trying to reach the broader population so we can get the best talent. When we say we're committed to attracting and retaining and promoting talent, we're really bringing those conversations to our talent planning sessions. And, if we're having those conversations and then afterwards, we look at the people that we have kind of pegged for, opportunities or promotion, and, it doesn't look like, what we're saying that we want it to, then, we actually have our talent development teams, help audit us and hold us accountable, right? Making sure that we're not just talking about it, but that we're really intentional about embedding it into the processes that we have in our organization, and not just, treating it like, its own topic. It really needs to be part of just the structures of this organization.
Yeah. And one thing just to add, I represent the bank in a number of different forums and with other companies, and we'll sit and talk to coalition partners. Bank of America tends to always be at the far end of the spectrum to where we are looked at as an industry leader in a number of different areas. So again, being proud but never satisfied as we continue to be intentional with our efforts.
Yeah, I love that phrase, Lynn. I'm going to steal that from you. Proud but never satisfied. And, thank you for mentioning the Just Company Award as well. I mean, that's a big deal. To be number one on the Just Company list is a big deal. And we are proud of that. Proud but never satisfied. So I want to go back. I know, Betsy, you mentioned the strength of diverse teams and how that makes an impact on your business. And we all kind of get that. But I'm going to ask you a follow-up question. What do you think strong talent for Bank of America looks like? So maybe both, what's the value of a strong, diverse team, and then what does strong talent for B of A look like?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so for me as a hiring manager, of course you have to have the base level requirements. A lot of times people ask, what's more important, education or experience? And I will say that I lean on the side of experience, right? I mean, the nature of our business is very market driven, and nobody can 100% predict where the market will go next. So somebody who embraces a challenge, is intellectually curious, not afraid of change, somebody who's proactive and really just wants to solve problems. Generally, that's the type of person who will be successful no matter where you put them. Nobody knew during the financial crisis that we would have to stand up, the PPP, program, or, some of these things that were super important to, supporting our clients through a super difficult time. There was no playbook for that, right? So making sure that you had people who were really committed to delivering for our clients, who really just kind of run towards the fire and want to be engaged. Those are the types of people that I really look for when I'm hiring.
Yeah, that's great. Lynn, anything you want to add? And no worries if you don't, but anything you want to add?
Yeah, no. Now being on the other side, being in leadership development and knowing the conversations that senior leaders have as they talk about their talent, what's very important is that they continue to develop. We talk about replacement strategies and succession plans. As individuals continue to grow and develop in their careers and they take on new roles, we need to make sure that we have a strong bench that we can pull from, and maybe with additional support, additional training, they're able to step into that role and again, fulfill their career journey, their career plan in continuing to learn and grow at the bank. So when you think about it, I love what Betsy said. It's really the experience that people bring to the table, but we're looking for individuals that are smart and feel comfortable debating ideas and really having that voice at the table. It's important that your voice, as a diverse teammate, that your voice is heard.
Yeah. And back to my point on diverse teams too, I mean, having people who have a variety of different experiences, who have different perspectives, who have different strengths, all of that is really critical to making sure that we put teams on the field, right, that can do what they need to do for our customer groups. So it's a great thing. I'm going to shift gears a little bit, and I want to talk about the last 2 to 3 years. It's been crazy. Global pandemic, war in Ukraine, an ever-changing economy, right? So, Lynn, I'll start with you, but what has Bank of America learned over the last 2 years about how to support our employees? And, how has that made us a better company?
Right. No, that's a great question. Any organization, for them to continue to thrive and survive during the last couple of years, they needed to make sure they were listening to their employees, listening to their voice, taking the time to get to know them, taking the time to connect. And I know that's one of the areas that human resources, HR, was truly focused on, making sure that there were toolkits for those managers that maybe didn't feel comfortable engaging as directly as they did, across various medium, because they're used to individuals being in the office, being able to sit across the table, and now they had to engage in a different way to still connect. I think from an employee perspective, we knew that this time was the employees actually took the time to reflect and reset and to determine where they wanted to go. I've talked to more women who have said, I'm not completely happy where I am, completely satisfied. I'm interested in doing something different. Okay, what does that look like? Help me understand what that role looks like. And let's talk about what the plan is for you to move into that area. We're meeting women where they are, listening, listening 100 times if you could, and really make sure that we know, number one, that the women, the talent, the employees know where they want to go, and then thinking about what are those steps to connect them with leaders. What the bank also did was made a huge investment in health and wellness. Every year we have an employee survey, and from that survey, different changes and different opportunities may be added to the employee benefits when you think about it. One area specifically that I know benefits talks about is really thinking about the wellness coaching series that we have, where you can actually meet with a wellness coach, and no matter what your situation is, it's a confidential opportunity, but individuals have been leveraging that counseling service just, again, as they're resetting and reflecting. They may have lost family members or friends. Again, it was a difficult time for not only leaders but all teammates. And then the one thing that the bank did, which I thought was very interesting, is that they wanted to understand where each employee wanted or needed to be more flexible. So we're one of the companies that actually surveyed over 200,000 teammates to understand how they wanted to work. What did they need to be focused on? We talk about work-life balance, but it really is, what are you going to prioritize that next 24 hours? And what do you need to focus on to make sure that your work and your home life are somewhat in balance, but more flexible, so that you're able to to show up in both arenas. So really looking to reprioritize the day based on what the need may be. So those are a few things, Christy, that happened.
Yeah, no, that's great. Betsy, what would you want to share from your own personal experience over the last couple of years?
Yeah, I mean, last couple of years in a lot of ways for a lot of people were really hard, and we were working really hard during the pandemic, again, to make sure that our clients had what they needed in unprecedented market conditions. And so, what I really appreciated, and this is probably not unique to Bank of America, but just how much humanity it brought to the workplace. We had one of my closest business partners had a 9-month-old that was crying on the phone, or barking dogs, or somebody who had to check on their neighbor, and that is life. And it was really it honestly made a lot of the connections that I had at work even stronger, just knowing what people were going through, but how committed they were to their job at the same time. And I think that it helped, bringing that back with us now that we're out of that environment. It really helped to kind of expedite the goal of being able to bring your whole self to work, right? I think people are less apologetic about having to do the things that they have to do in life. And I see the bank really encouraging that, right? Making sure that we're being transparent. And again, I think because of that, it helps to deepen some of the connections that we have across the team, which are all really positive things. I guess the silver lining from a really tough time.
Yeah, no, I agree. We've got to see one another's children, one another's pets. Lynn, I know both you and I have elders that we care for. Do you want to talk a little bit about your dad and some of the support that you've had there?
Yeah, definitely. And it dovetails perfectly to what Betsy just shared. It's not only what we went through during the, the crisis, the pandemic, but post that time, it's to make sure that teammates feel comfortable sharing when they need to step away. I am the caregiver for my dad. And, knowing that at times he may have a number of doctor's appointments, I let my exec know, and I, just step away when I need to and get back online when I'm able to. So again, it's part of who I am. It's the makeup of me, Lynn, as an employee, knowing that there's an opportunity to continue to support the family. And I think anyone, from the bank who's on the call would agree with that. So.
Yeah, I have a 92-year-old father. I would say the same thing. And that's just invaluable. I'm the only daughter my father has, right? And to be able to step up for him when he needs it most has been a huge, huge thing for me. So we've only got about 2 minutes left. Lynn, maybe I'll save this final question for you. We've talked a lot about how Bank of America supports employees. What would we want to share about over the last few years, how we've supported our communities, our customers? And I know there's a lot we could talk about here, but any punchlines that you'd want to call out?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's not only internally, but what we've heard from the voice of our teammates is, what is the bank doing to help sustain whatever, support within the marketplace when you think about clients and communities. So there are a number of, there's the relationship that we have with Cornell Business Institute. We've got Vital Voices, who are actually the group that gets involved with mentorship and sponsorship to entrepreneurs. We think about the breakthrough labs that are available, community involvement in Women Ready to Lead, where we go out into the markets and actually invite clients in. This year, we're inviting clients in to come and talk about what that looks like. When we talk about, just again, the opportunity to invest in women, not only internally, but externally, it really does help to demonstrate the bank's commitment to support the communities that we live and serve. And more information, there's so much on there, but if you go to www.bankofamerica.com, you'll be able to go through and see how much the bank actually invests in our women in the marketplace.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that. We're right at time. So I want to close this out today. A couple of ways. First of all, I want to say thank you for everybody who joined us on the call today. We're glad you're here. We're glad you're interested in B of A. I want to encourage you to go by bankofamerica.com to learn more about the company. bankofamerica.com/careers. That's where you can see the jobs that we have open. And then we also are going to be at the virtual career fair on Thursday. So look forward to seeing everyone then. So Hunter, I think we turn it back to you.
Thank you so much, all three of you. It's always a pleasure to have you here. Christy, Lynn, good to see you again. Elizabeth, good to meet you. Thank you so much for making the time today, investing the time, dare I say, and it's just always a pleasure. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.